Spanning close to 2 decades, Armored Core is a game series where the player constructs their personal giant robot to help them battle their way to victory, fighting numerous enemies and evil corporations. Being a game that focuses heavily on customization, it can be quite difficult for a beginner. With Last Raven being one of the more brutal entries in the series, it can definitely feel like a mountain to climb. Not to worry, as TBM is here to help out. I will be making several episodes explaining what you need to know to get into the game. These videos will be addressing the PlayStation 2 version of this game. The PSP version has some slight alterations, but for the most part they are essentially the same. Many of the things I will mention can also be applied to the older games of the franchise too, but not necessarily every game in this series. So let's get started. The controls are what some people might feel is the hardest thing to get into with the series because of how complex they are. The game offers you 2 control schemes by default. Type A uses dual analog sticks to move and aim, while the shoulder buttons are used for actions like shooting and boosting. Type B, which is the classic control style of the original game, uses the shoulder buttons to look up and down and strafe left and right, and uses the D-pad to walk. Both of these control types can be adjusted in any way you want, and I suggest toying around with the controls to change it to your liking. This is, after all, a game about customizing to your preferences. Once you have started a new game and have messed around with the settings, you will be thrown into this menu. Here you will be able to access most of the game, from the garage where you can change your AC, missions, and saving and loading your game, and much more. Let's go ahead and head over to the garage. Once selected, you have the option to assemble your AC, buy or sell parts. You can also tune parts, but I will leave that for the next video. Upon clicking assembly, you are shown this screen. The left side shows a slot of equipment you are working with, like the head or core for example. Pressing right or left will scroll over to the next part. A bit to the right you can see the visual of the part and statistics for them. These statistics showing ranks are very beginner friendly, but more advanced players will find these not as useful. To the right is a small paragraph of your AC's abilities showing rankings for its performance. Pressing the circle button, or triangle in the PSP version, will show numbers in the statistics instead of a few ranks. The main ones you want to keep an eye out for are these. AP stands for armor points, which represents your health, and when it reaches 0, you lose. Weight. This stat is the most dominant stat for movement and can be found in every piece of equipment. The more weight you got, the slower your AC will be. Energy drain is another important stat. The higher the energy drain, the slower your energy gauge will recover after boosting. Max weight, both for the core and legs. If your weight goes over the maximum weight, the right side of the screen will show a warning regarding this. If you let your legs be overweight, then this means that your walking and boosting speed is halved. And if your arms are overweight via the core, then your aiming performance will go down and you most likely will miss more than you will hit. The EN output on your generator stands for how fast your AC will be able to generate its energy. Every bit of energy drain is subtracted from this number, and if you go overboard, your energy recovery in-game will be incredibly slow. The cooling of your radiator will be able to cool down everything, from your generator, to your boosters, to being hit by attacks that heat your AC up. The higher the stat, the faster your AC will cool down. Now if we head back to the start of the garage and click Cockpit, you have 2 options, Change Panel and Change Color. Change Panel can turn off little things on your in-game HUD. There are only 2 useless ones in this, which are the speedometer and the altimeter. Neither of these give you any real benefit compared to the others and are just there for the visuals. Finally, the Cockpit Color actually can be quite important, surprisingly. A lot of the colors here, like light blue, make it harder for you to see some of your HUD in certain levels. This can be a disaster if you are paying attention to your ammo, health, or worst of all, your radar. It would be best to go with a color like orange or green because those 2 are not used much in the game's environment. And speaking of the radar, if you have a head equipped with extra radar functions or a back-mounted radar, this little part of your HUD will become quite handy. With green ones showing the position of allies, and red, blue and yellow icons meaning enemies, blue indicating that they're positioned higher than you, and yellow meaning that they're lower. This is extremely useful, especially in one of the many AC battles in this game, so you do not lose track of whoever you need to fight. This is it for the first video. I've talked about a lot of the basics. Tune in next episode where I go into deep detail of all the statistics we did not cover yet. Till next time, Ravens.